Guys, what's going on? Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. Today's big question is Colorado. In case you don't know, Colorado and Coach Prime took probably the worst butt whooping of the entire season. And they've had some bad ones. I mean, they've been spanked many times this season. And while it's certainly a massive competition to determine which moment they were spanked the worst, I think tonight might win the trophy. I'm going to talk about what happened here, not just from a football standpoint, but also from a life standpoint, why they were overhyped in the first place, and what this might mean for the career of Coach Prime, aka Deion Sanders. So get comfortable, buckle up a seatbelt. We're going to get started on drboycetv.com right now.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones too late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to co-sign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.
Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and tonight I want to talk to you guys about Coach Prime and Colorado. And there's been some crazy developments on the Colorado front. In case you guys didn't know, Colorado took their latest butt whooping today, and it was ugly. I mean, it was really ugly for a few reasons I'll go into really quickly. And also, I want to talk about what it means to be overhyped and why this team was overhyped from the very beginning, if you really look at it from a certain perspective. Now, as you come in, please do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. Give me a yes in the chat if you can hear me okay. Let's do a quick audio check, microphone check, 1 2 1 2. Can you guys hear me okay? Give me a yes if you can hear me okay. All right. So here's the deal. So Coach Prime, I'm gonna tell you, it turns out that this team, Colorado, was severely overhyped from the very beginning. There was this belief that this team could fly. There was a point where they had celebrities on the sidelines early in the season. They were seen as kind of the hottest thing in college football, and now that has not occurred anymore. That's not true anymore. Now Colorado is looking like a pack of scrubs, and nobody wants anything to do with them. I am sure if you check their last game against 4-7 Washington State, who is now 5-7, thanks to the ass whooping they laid on Colorado, you will not see Lil Wayne on the sidelines. You will not see Rick Ross up in the stands. You will not see Tom Brady trolling to see who's going to win a college football game between 2 highly mediocre teams. So the thrill is gone. The luster is gone. The shine is gone. Everything that was that everybody thought they were going to see all season has now disappeared, and that's just what it is, right? Give me a yes if you agree that that this team was a little bit overhyped. Give me a yes if you agree that we took things a little bit too far in terms of the expectations of Colorado. Now, with that said, I think we can start by stating the obvious. This team was 1-11 last year. 1-11, right? So they increased their win percentage by 400%. They won 400% more games than they won last year, which is good. 4-7, 4-8. I think they're 4-8 now. From 1-11 is good. Absolutely, no question about it. We must acknowledge that. However, come on now. This team started off 3-0. They started off 3-0, and they were ranked number 21 in the country. I don't even know. I think they might have even gone higher than that. They started off 3-0. Right? So stop. Don't act like it's not a disappointment. Don't act like, oh well, it's still a great season. No, it ain't. Stop it. Just stop. Stop lying. Stop lying. We can't have a good conversation as friends if you're gonna be up in here telling lies. Okay. So Coach Prime, here's the deal with Coach Prime. Coach Prime in Colorado. He was at Jackson State. If you know the story with Coach Prime, he was at Jackson State. He left Jackson State to go to Lily White, Colorado. He got ran out of Jackson State by the money. The money kind of ran him out of town. However, the people wanted him to stay. there were a lot of people, and myself included, who wanted him to stay at Jackson State. And the reason we wanted him to stay at Jackson State is because we believe how special he is. I love this guy. I have one jersey on my wall, and that is a Deion Sanders jersey because my whole life I've been a Cowboys fan, and Deion is one of my favorite players. So where do we go from here? What do things look like now? One thing that I'm really curious about is this. Is Colorado, we know Colorado loved Coach Prime when he was winning. We know Colorado and the fans, they love the swag, they love the boisterousness, they love the big chains and the shiny watches, and they loved all that Coach Prime-ish behavior when they were winning. I wonder how much they like it when they're losing. I wonder how they feel about him now. Right. And the reason I ask that question is because I think about when he was at Jackson State. Jackson State loved Coach Prime when he was a loser. Jackson State loved Coach Prime when he was, when he was a coach that nobody wanted. You do understand that, right? How many of y'all know the background? Do y'all know the background? That Jackson State picked Coach Prime when he was seen as the least desirable coach in America. No team was hiring Coach Prime. Jackson State gave him an opportunity. And I think that this is an interesting scenario where I'm really curious to see what are the reporters going to say now that you're 4-8. What are the reporters going to say now that you've shown that you can recruit your butt off when it comes to wide receivers and defensive backs and quarterbacks, but you're not so good at coaching an offensive line. That offensive line is Swiss cheese. That poor boy, his poor son might get hurt back there because they letting everybody through. The defensive line is not very good. I saw special teams that were absolute garbage. Did y'all watch this? If you're a football fan, I need y'all to go watch the highlights from this game. Just get on YouTube and watch the highlight. I need y'all to really see how horrible they looked. This was not a great team. This was not this was not Alabama or Georgia that they were playing against. They were playing against a team that was 4-7. They were playing against a team that was one of the worst teams in the division. Washington State is not a great team. And they came in there and just whooped their ass. They ran a punt. The guy ran a kickoff back for a touchdown. They had 2 sacks that they picked up the ball and ran it back for a touchdown. They did that twice. How often do you see, seriously, football fans, I'm asking you this. How often do you see a game where there's 2 times where there's a sack and a fumble that leads to a touchdown for the defense? Has anybody said, and a kickoff is run all the way back for a touchdown? I mean, they made them look like the Bad News Bears. They look like the Keystone Cops. They look like a bunch of buffoons out there now. So they're not very good. They're just not good. And so what's interesting is that it's gonna become one of those things where Coach Prime, I wonder how this affects his economic value to the next organization that chooses to recruit him. Right? He's going to have teams that are going to be interested in him because of the money and whatever that he can bring in. But they're not, I bet you they don't have a lot of faith in his coaching ability. And also, I think that this is a challenge for him because he's coaching at a different level, right? This is heavier competition. This is getting messy for him. And really at the end of the day, I think that anybody who still is who thinks this is just a bunch of hating, you need to get off his nuts real quick. You need to just stop swinging from this man's testicles because some of y'all just love a celebrity no matter what they do. Some of y'all the same type of people that will love a rapper even though he's rapping about murdering black people and selling drugs in the black community. Like you love anything that's bright and shiny. And the thing is, I don't do that. I don't hero worship. I know celebrities. Celebrities don't impress me. Coach Prime, I think he's a great defensive back. I think Coach Prime is a great man. I like the way he raises young men. He talks about raising men to be fathers and husbands and leaders and not just baby daddies. I like that type of stuff. But as a coach, I'm really wondering what kind of coach he actually is. And here's the other thing too. You walked away from an HBCU. You walked away from the love and support of an HBCU to go to Lily White, Colorado, where they don't really like black people that much. Really, that's what you did. That's what you did. You went to Colorado. Colorado does not hire. Look at their record. Go look at don't believe me. Go look at the record. How Colorado does not hire black people at all. The only black people they hire are the ones that can run and jump and throw footballs. Those are the ones that they bring in. They don't hire black professors. They don't really care that much about bringing in black students. They bring in a few, but not many. I know Colorado. I went to their campus and I looked on this wall of all their faculty, and I did not see hardly any black faces on that wall. So they don't hire black people to be thinkers. They hire black people to play football and basketball. They don't bring in black people when they're going to become part of the leadership of the campus. They tend to bring in black people when they're going to make money for them, like just high-paid slaves, right? So I'm really curious to see how they're going to treat him. When he's not the winning coach that they thought he was going to be, because I know that at Jackson State he would have gotten unconditional love. I don't think the fans at Jackson State would ever have said, "You're not winning anymore. We hate you now. Get out of here, Negro." Right? When the lynch mobs come out and the pitchforks come up, I wonder how that's going to change. How he's going to be perceived in the media when they see his son drive by in his Rolls Royce. How's that going to be perceived, right? And what's in fact, you know what it makes me think about? It makes me think about a guy who has a wife who loves him very much and loves him unconditionally, but maybe she's maybe about a 6 on a scale of 0 to 10. She's like a 6, and then a girl comes along who's like a 9.5, who is a gold digger who only wants to be with him for his money, and then he leaves his good wife to go be with the gold digger, and then he runs out of money. The gold digger is going to dump him. The gold digger won't love him anymore. The gold digger didn't sign up for him to be broke. The gold digger signed up for him to have money. So effectively, Coach Prime's leaving Jackson State to go to Colorado is very consistent with what many athletes do to the black community in the beginning. Think about this. How many times have you ever seen a black athlete who loves the hell out of Shaquanda when he's in the projects and they ain't making no money? When he's in high school and he's trying to be all city, he got Shakita as his girlfriend or whatever. And even in college, maybe he's dating LaWanda, the black girl. But then suddenly, when he becomes an All-American and he's going to the league, suddenly he's dating Becky, Sally, Cindy, and Sue. And when he's walking down the aisle, he's not walking down the aisle with LaQuanda. He's walking down the aisle with Becky, Sally, Cindy, or Sue. And then years later, when he runs out of money, Becky, Sally, Cindy, or Sue takes him for all of his shit. How many times have y'all seen that happen? How many times have you seen that occur? Seriously, it happens all the time. A lot of athletes will use up black women while they're broke and then go get with somebody who's not black when they get money. That's the game, right? But then when they fall on their face again and they lose all their money, maybe because they tricked it all off in the strip club, or the lady came and took it in a lawsuit, or they got a drug addiction and lost everything. When they fall on their face, who's there to pick them up when they fall on their face? The black woman. It's Keisha. It's that girl that you knew back in the hood who loved you before you ever became anybody. And in fact, even in my own life, I didn't marry a woman. I got a little bit famous. I don't have a lot of fame, but internet fame means something. You go places, people recognize you and stuff. And I can tell you that when I chose my wife, I did not choose some lady who met me after I became Dr. Boyce Watkins. I'd married a woman who knew me before I became famous. I married a woman who appreciated me before I became whatever the hell that I am right now. And in case you ever want to know, I know the internet thinks somehow that she waited and only wanted to get with me later on because I had money. Well, she already had money. And number two, she said publicly that I would have dated you back then, Boyce, if you had just asked. I just never asked. So stop with the rumors. Stop being stupid. Okay. So here's the deal. When you talk about Coach Prime and Colorado, I fear for this man. I really do. I wonder how things are going to go for his family, given that this team is still not much better than the teams that they had before. They got the upgrade now. They got a lot more attention, but attention's only a good thing when you're winning. When you're losing and you're getting all the attention, it doesn't feel so good. And for everybody who just really assumes that they're going to be on an upward trajectory, that next year somehow they're magically going to be this amazing competitive team, I don't know if that's a given. I think that what it's really doing, what these losses are really showing, are holes in his coaching ability. Because remember this, when Coach Prime went to Colorado, there wasn't hardly nobody in that damn transfer portal he couldn't recruit. Everybody wanted to play for him. All the brothers wanted to go play for this man. So the fact that he came out of that portal, and I'd love to understand this, how he came out of that portal with athletes knowing how much attention and exposure they would get playing for him, and he came out of there and somehow forgot to get him an offensive line. I don't understand that. I know it's harder to get offensive linemen out of the portal. I know all of this, right? I pay attention. I watch the sports shows, but I still don't get it. I still don't really get it, and I think that I think he's going to have a real interesting experience. I mean, and don't let there be like a scandal. Don't let something happen, with some woman or whatever, like this brother over in Michigan State, because y'all saw that brother at Michigan State, what they did to him. They just strung this poor guy up. They took his $95 million contract, all because a white woman made an accusation against him. And these things do happen. Now, I don't know. I don't think this will happen to Coach Prime, but I really think that when he said, "I'm at the lowest point of my career," I agreed. I said, yeah, this is pretty bad. because it wasn't that they just lost. It was that they lost to a terrible team. And it wasn't just that they just lost to a terrible team. It's that they got obliterated by a terrible team. That score, I think that score was like, what was it, like 42-7 at one point? I mean, they were scoring touchdowns on them like they were a joke. And I think that the way they got overhyped in the beginning is that they played an overhyped TCU team. They went out and they played TCU. TCU was ranked 17th in the country. They should not have been ranked that high. They were not that good. So they played TCU. They beat TCU. Everybody thought, oh, they must be for real. They beat a top 20 team. Then they beat Nebraska, who's another crappy team. And then everyone said, oh my God, the hype is boiling. This team is going to be as good as we think. They're amazing. Coach Prime's the best coach in the country. Then they played against Colorado State. Colorado State, a very crappy team. They beat them in double overtime, which they should have pummeled this team, actually. This is where I started to think, I don't know if they're that good because Colorado State is not a great team. And they barely beat Colorado State, but people were talking about that game like it was the damn Super Bowl. Why? Well, because there were millions of people watching this game, and everybody thought that Shedeur Sanders, Deion Sanders was going to be in line to win the Heisman. Then they played against some real football players. Then they went to Oregon. Then Lil Wayne showed up, and all these celebrities are on the sideline. I can't remember all the celebrities that were there because by then the hype was there, and all these teams were there to witness an absolute homicide. They were all there to witness the absolute shellacking of this team. They literally sat there and watched Oregon show them what real solid football players in that conference actually look like, and it was not pretty. It was the first time you really saw just how bad they actually were. And then you saw some other things that happened that were just really phenomenally awkwardly bad, like the way they got a 29-0 lead on Stanford and lost a 29-0 lead. How often do you see a team lose a 29-0? Can anybody give me a yes or no? Yes or no? Have you ever seen a team lose when or lose a game when they were up 29-0? Have you seen that at all this year? Is there another team anywhere in the country you can think of? Remember when the Patriots came back 27-3 against the Falcons? That was the greatest comeback in Super Bowl history. That was amazing. So 29-0. Lord Jesus. And they came back and beat them. And Stanford, again, another mediocre team. Stanford isn't even that good. And then there were some other butt whoopings. I can't even name them all. There was just so many. And then today, I think, was just kind of the that was the sort of the pinnacle of it. That really, and what that really does is it goes back to what I was saying to you guys before. Coach Prime is he's a bad motherfucker. Let's just be honest. Coach Prime is a bad boy. As an athlete, second to none. That's why I got his jersey on my wall, because I love the guy. He represents excellence to me as an athlete. And as a human being, I think it's attitude. He has a great attitude, great skill. I love who he is as a person. I love these things. But here's the problem with all that, super hype talk and all that, all that sort of look at me kind of pseudo alpha maleness. I call it pseudo alpha maleness because you're pretending to be an alpha male, but you have not proven that you're an alpha male. You're pretending to be the strongest and the best and the baddest, but you're really not. So what happens is, here, pay attention now. I need y'all to listen. In China, they have a saying that says, the fattest pig always gets slaughtered. When I taught my students in China back in 2006, I asked them, I said, how come in America, we got rappers and stuff that are all loud and brag about themselves and all that, but they don't do that here in China at all. And the students said, no, Dr. Watkins, we're not trained to do this. When we're young, we're told to be very humble. And I said, really? And they said, yes, we have saying, Dr. Watkins. I said, what is it? She said, the saying is, fattest pig always gets slaughtered. And what does that mean? That means that when you get out here and you talking and you shining and you pulling out your chain and you telling everybody how great you are, that you're the best, what you're doing is you're doing something in the animal kingdom that you might call peacocking. You're peacocking. You're sending a bat signal to the rest of the world that I am the alpha. I am the leader. But the problem is that, similar to the hip hop music industry, a lot of the men who are the loudest, who pretend to be the alphas, are not the real alphas. The ones who rap about being gangsters aren't the real gangsters. Most gangsters move in silence. Most gangsters don't want you to know they're gangsters because they're too gangster to know about that. They don't have to brag about it. They just act like they pretend to be weak so you won't know how strong they are. Right? They don't. That's what they do. That's what's smart. That's what strategic. That's what real gangster people do. That's just what they do. I'm pretty gangster at poker. And one rule of poker, I'm really good at poker, actually. I've won major tournaments in poker. And one rule of poker is that when you're weak, you pretend to be strong. And when you're strong, you pretend to be weak. And so ultimately, this peacocking What that does is it draws attention, it draws competition, it draws competitors, it pulls out natural male testosterone, this natural male territorial instinct to compete with you, to say, oh, you must be the man. Like you go to prison and you say, I'm the biggest, strongest man up in here. Who wants some of this? Well, you're going to get a challenger at that point, right? So when Shedeur Sanders is on TV talking about, I was texting with Tom Brady. I'm showing my watch. I'm legendary everywhere I go. I got Lil Wayne on the sidelines. What you're basically doing is you're drawing all this attention and all this extra testosterone from all these athletes who have been working hard in the gym in silence, who are ready to destroy you because they know that if I destroy you on camera, everyone will know that I'm the alpha. Y'all don't understand this. You got to understand how the animal kingdom works. That's what they do. People find, like they always say, 50 Cent said this. He said, if you ever want to dominate something, you find the biggest, baddest dude in the playground and you punch him in the face and everybody sees it and everyone knows you're the biggest, baddest dude in the group. So basically, Colorado came in and they committed a fraud. They committed a fraud, and the fraud that they committed was pretending to be one of the best football teams in college football. And Tom Brady was actually telling Shedeur Sanders back in the day, he said, stop. He said, I wish he wasn't rolling around in that Rolls Royce. He needs to get his ass in the film room and start watching tape. That's what he said. Now, again, it came from a white boy, so maybe you feel like he shouldn't listen. But that I like that. I'm sorry. I don't give a shit, white or black. Tom Brady, GOAT status, he earned that. He earned that. Ain't nobody done in football what Tom Brady did in football. That's why he and Deion are friends. His daddy, Deion, has the right to be the alpha, to claim to be the alpha. I'm Coach Prime. I've already done this. I did it all. Go watch the tape. He can do that. But here's the thing, and some of y'all ain't gonna get this. Some of y'all, you got to stop all this hero worshiping. Seriously, get off the man's nuts. Stop this. That's very weak of you. Like, get off his nuts. Like, critically analyze this. Hear what I'm saying here. You may not like me. It's okay. You ain't got to like me. I don't give a shit. But I need you to hear what I'm saying here. So what happens is that when Coach Prime is carrying around all this bravado, and his sons are carrying around all this bravado, and they're getting all this attention, then all the players start carrying around the same level of bravado. But here's the difference. Coach Prime earned his stripes. He's a veteran. He's played at the highest levels he's been in a Super Bowl. These guys can't even compete for a conference championship. They probably couldn't even win the state championship. That's probably a better team. They could barely beat the other team in their own state. But yet they're walking around like they're Super Bowl champions. Because why? Well, why? Because Michael Irvin was at the practice giving us a pep talk. Like I'm going to be the next Michael Irvin. No, you're not. No, you're not. You got to go through about 1,000 other guys to become the next Michael Irvin. So you should probably put your head down, bust your ass, work hard, and stop talking for a little bit. Stop trying to shine so much. And really, let me just tell you, I'm serious. I understand the nature of men, and I guarantee you that every single team that has been whooping Colorado's ass, all those guys were hyped to know that the whole country will be watching. This is my chance. I get to be seen by the scouts. I'm going to get seen taking these guys out. And they're an easy target because they're just not very good. They're just not. That offensive line is absolutely horrible. The special teams is bad. The defense, oh God. Ugh. Travis Hunter, absolutely superstar. Great guy. Everybody else, so Shedeur, pretty good. The rest of them, ugh, not looking so good. And I think all that bravado, it only makes it that much worse when you get slammed like that. You ain't got to be cocky just because that's what the rappers do. Hip hop culture got your head spin on backward. I mean, it's okay to be proud. See, y'all, I want young guys to understand. You can be very, very confident, but you ain't got to be arrogant. In fact, the more arrogant you are, the weaker I know that you probably are. The louder you talk, the more I know you ain't about nothing. The more flash you have, the less substance you typically have. Why? Well, because substance requires a certain degree of spiritual humility and commitment and fortitude that you don't see in hip hop culture. Hip hop culture is full of a bunch of pretend people. They're a bunch of cartoon characters. They pretend. Rick Ross is not really a boss of anything. He just raps about being a boss. So somehow you think that he's a boss. Maybe because you never had a daddy who was a real boss. You never saw what a real boss looks like. My daddy was a boss. I saw what he looked like. My father didn't go around bragging about how bad he was. He didn't go around telling everybody what he was going to do next. He didn't go around talking loud. He wasn't the loudest person in the room. But if the situation came down to it for him to perform and him to show up and him to prove himself, he did that. And that wasn't just in the extreme situations. He also did it. He proved himself every day as a father. He proved himself every day as a husband. He proved himself every day as a breadwinner. He proved himself every day as a man who studied in night school so he could finish school at a certain age. But then when the situation got extreme, he did actually have to kill somebody. My father has killed people. But but he didn't walk around with that on his chest like somehow like that defined him as a man. So all this loud talking, I'm gonna just tell you the truth. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't mind it. I don't judge it too much, but I don't really like it because I think that the black man has been misidentified as a loudmouth bum, a loudmouth loser. They put characters like that in movies. There'll be some dude like, oh man, I got it all, man. I'm the man, dog. You can be man. Shut up, man. Just do your damn job. Like, why can't you just sit down? Seriously, I think Colorado is looking pretty bad right now. And what I really believe is that you're going to see a different demeanor from these guys. I think they're learning. They're being humbled right now. That's what they're being humbled because I think that they thought they were going to go out and win a national championship. And now they're finding out that they probably half of them probably know that they're not going to be on the team next year. And I think Coach Prime is also finding out that maybe he's not as great of a coach as he might have thought he was. Because we think that hype is the same as substance. We think that flash is the same as something meaningful. And it reminds me, honestly reminds me of like Diddy. I've always felt that way about Diddy. Diddy's very flashy, very shiny. Diddy will go out on the internet and make big announcements about great things he's going to do. And then nothing will happen. Nothing really comes of it. And I agree with, shout out to Dr. Umar. Umar, just so y'all know for the record, Umar does not like me at all. If you say my name to Umar Johnson, he'll get mad at you. But I don't dislike him because I don't take things personally. And let me tell you, Umar said something that I really like. Umar talked about hip hop. He said, we've had hip hop for 50 years. For 50 years, he was supporting what D1 has been doing. Who's another guy of substance, not flash. He's substance. And Umar said, we've had hip hop for 50 years and we've had not one hospital. Y'all ain't building no grocery stores. You ain't building no black owned hotels. I don't know. It was something like that. And I agree. You get all the flash, all the loud stuff. But where's the substance? Where's the wins? Right? And it reminds me of Colorado football. They talk all day. They look good. They look cool. They look fly. They're doing commercials and making money, driving Rolls Royces. But can you get a first down? You looking real cool with your shiny watch. But can you block for the quarterback? Can you protect your quarterback? You're talking all this big game about what you can do and do this and do that. How you gonna win a championship and a Heisman, but can you beat Colorado State? Can you beat the teams in your own state before you start talking about taking over the world and becoming the next Tom Brady? That there's a big gap there, and I really think that for young people, I think that those poor guys got misguided. I really do. I think that they were inflated with a lot of overconfidence, and I don't think it helped them at all. It was a lot of overconfidence and a lot of attention, and I don't think that they're ready for it. And I bet you that they're having a hard time sleeping at night. And what also happens is that when you get your butt kicked out in public, it humbles you and it makes you put your head down and you really start working. And that's when you really find out what you're made of. The greatest men I have ever seen are men who humbly work in the dark and they build something of tremendous substance to the point where they don't have to brag about it. They just show up and they'll just be about it. And then you will know who those men are. And ladies, I encourage you the same thing. A lot of y'all, when it comes to dating, you fall for flashy, loudmouth ass Negroes. Maybe because you never had a solid father. You never had a solid daddy. So you saw some rapper on TV rapping about all this stuff. They sound good, but you don't understand. Then next thing you know, you done got pregnant by this guy and he ain't showing up as a father. He ain't showing up as a husband. He ain't showing up as a quality human being in your life. Why? Well, because he never got any substance. There are people who actually think that talking about doing something is the same as actually doing something. And I just don't believe that. And I don't like that. And I don't think that defines who we are. I think that bravado that we love so much in hip hop is actually a liability in our community. I really do. I think it's a liability. I think it makes us, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's okay to be confident, feel good about who you are, but I think there's a point when it gets too far along. And this is personal for me. I had that conversation with Kanye West, where he told me on the phone that he was the most important person on the planet next to Vladimir Putin. I said, I don't give a fuck. I don't care. You're talking to me. You're not talking to these dummies on TV. Like, why are you even telling me this? Like, why do I need to know these things? Like, like I see right through the nonsense. I can see right through a loudmouth or a bully or whatever. right? Show me what you're doing. Show me that you created 10,000 jobs for black people. Show me that you built black owned hotels. Show me that you're getting things done. Show you if you look at, like, compare, what's that boxer's name? You had that boxer that used to fight Floyd Mayweather, the guy Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao, to me, I like Manny Pacquiao. Let me tell you what I liked about Pacquiao. Pacquiao didn't do a lot of bragging from what I remember, but Pacquiao was building thousands of homes for people in his own community. Like, there are thousands of people that have a place to live because Manny Pacquiao understood the assignment. And standing above everybody and telling them that you're better than everybody else, that does nothing for anybody except for you and your bruised little ego. So we got a lot of little boys who look like grown men floating around our community, and your community falls apart because these men are not building anything. They're not working on anything. They're not developing anything. They're not working together. The egos are out of control, and they're imitating rappers. And if you look at the productivity level, you can just look at what the rappers are producing, and you can see what's happening, how that's permeating all throughout the black community. Nothing. Seriously. I mean, I look over, I see I see groups of white people coming together and developing artificial intelligence and rocket ships to Mars and stuff like that, having quiet little meetings about how they're going to, control more land and more territory. And we over here yapping about some rappers' babies' mamas or whatever, or arguing about how our women are so terrible and stupid and how black women are garbage or whatever. Like, come on, man. That's just immature, and it's very, very weak. And so if anybody wants my 2 cents on this, and I know some people don't, it's okay. You don't have to want my 2 cents. You don't have to. But let me just say this. I really encourage you to not just listen to what people say, but look at what people do. People's actions show you what they're made of, not all of this. And the thing about talk, there's a saying that says talk is cheap. And that's a great saying because people talk a lot because talking is easier than doing. That's why Diddy can get on Twitter and say, we're going to buy the Baltimore Ravens, y'all. And everybody starts giving him the like button and filling that dopamine up with all this applause, like, yay, black excellence. And then nothing happens. Y'all remember that? Y'all remember he said he was going to buy it was a Baltimore Ravens or some football team. Y'all remember, or the Charlotte Hornets. I don't remember. It was some team that he was going to buy. And he said, we're going to go buy it, y'all. And he said it on Twitter and everybody got all excited. What the fuck are you excited about? Like, what are you excited about? Like, did he do it? Did it happen? No. But well, why say it? Well, because if you say it, then you get credit for doing it, but you never actually deliver. And I want you to think about your lives real quick. I want you to process this. This is a real hard conversation for the black community, but I want you to process this, and I want you to think about some of the men, not all the men, but some of the men you might have in your own family. Give me a yes or no if you know some Negro whose word ain't worth shit, who will talk all day about what he's going to do and don't never show up and do it, will tell you he's going to meet you Tuesday at 5:00 and won't show up, will tell you that he's about to go and get a better job, but he doesn't, or will tell you that he's gonna pick you up at school. He's going to pick your son up at school at 4:00 and he doesn't show up and do it. Right. Does anybody know anybody like that? I know that because I saw men like that growing up. I saw that, and I noticed that a long time ago. I said, I wonder what it is about some parts of our culture where the men just like to yap and talk about how great they are, but don't actually do great things in their actual lives. It doesn't mean every man's like this. There's a lot of really and then I observed over time and realized that some of the strongest, greatest black men that I know are men who won't even say a word, who'll sit down at the table and won't tell you nothing about how great they are. Why? Well, because they're actually living it. They're actually living it. And I agree. Thank you, Sandra Muhammad. Talk without analysis is just chatter. Dr. Wilmer Leon. Okay. Well, yeah. And I say words without action is just chatter too. So Dr. Wilmer Leon is a great friend of mine, and I like Dr. Leon a lot. I think he's a great guy. And actually, speaking of action, Dr. Leon actually joined me in 2009. There was a sister who named Kelly Ellis in Missouri who was going to be sent to prison because she went to a Walmart and cut in line, and they were going to give her 15 years in prison because the police attacked her, and she fought back, but they charged her with assaulting an officer. It was a real mess. And Walmart claimed to have lost the footage. And so we went out there. I went out there with Wilmer Leon, and we fought to get justice for her. And we had a whole march and rally and everything. It was back about 2009. And she got out of there and she took a plea deal. And I remember she called me and asked me if she should take the plea or fight the case all the way through, because the whole country was watching. It was covered in every major media outlet. You can probably Google it somewhere. And I remember when she asked me, should I take the plea or fight in court. I said, take the plea. I said, take the plea and get out of town. Because if they had convicted her, they would have put her in jail. And I said, if they put you in jail, they might kill you. I want you out of town. I need you to get back to school. And she took the plea, and people thought that she gave up. And people were like, oh, she gave up and she admitted guilt. I said, no, she didn't. This girl gets a chance to go back to college. And I wanted her to do that. I wanted her out of that small town. So I'll never forget Kelly Ellis. That was a real tragic case. You can look it up if you want to. Let's see. Why knock down Prime like this? I don't understand. Prime is entertaining, and we root for him because of that. Yeah, well, it's not about knocking him down. It's about being honest. Sometimes you lift somebody up. Like I told you, Prime that's the only jersey that I have on my wall. So he's my favorite player. But at the same time, just because he's my favorite player, I don't ride his nuts like that. I'm not going to co-sign on everything that happens just because I like you. I criticize you because I like you enough to say this ain't it. I didn't like all the hype. I thought the hype was too much. I thought it was a little bit too early. I wouldn't have had Lil Wayne on the sidelines and all this other stuff. I mean, I get it. It makes you money, but it also will traumatize those poor kids. And that's what's happened. They got traumatized. And I don't really know. I mean, I'm not a football expert, but I've watched thousands and thousands of games. And let me just say this. I don't really look at this as a team that's going to be great next year either. And I'm really curious to see how them white folks are going to treat him when he starts losing. When he starts losing big time, if he's losing, I'm really curious. I bet you anything he's gonna have a whole lot of people there that ain't gonna love him the way they would have loved him at Jackson State. At Jackson State, he could have had an 0-10 record and they still would love him. But at Colorado, oh, they don't like black people that much there. They don't hate them. They're not super racist like that, but they don't hire black people. They really don't. Look at their record. They don't really hire a lot of black people. So it's kind of like, okay, we'll put up with the song and dance if you're winning and making us money. I'm curious to see. That's how you test somebody's love. It's like a woman. Like if I pick a woman who only loves me when I have money for her, then that may not be the best woman for me. The question is, what happens when I don't have any money for you? Will you still love me? And I don't know if Colorado is that woman. I think Jackson State was that woman. Colorado, I don't know. I think them folks I think they already talk because they're already. I think they're already saying the things that I'm saying right here. I think that they're already saying like we were very uncomfortable with what we were seeing in the beginning, but we tolerated it because you were 3-0. Do I think they'll be better next year, Bruce? I think that they will be. I hope they will be. I cannot imagine that they. I think Coach Prime's a smart guy, and I think he's a proud man, and I cannot imagine him not going and filling in the voids. Right? He needs an offensive line. I think he's going to do that, if for nothing other than to protect his son. But the question to me is just general coaching ability. Like, is he really as good of a coach as he's coming out to be? And then I'm curious also to see what wins in college football. He's gonna be a moneymaker because he's gonna get the ratings, right? That's how they make their millions off of the black community is getting ratings on their football games. Um, you know, if he gets the ratings and he's not getting the wins, how are universities going to perceive that? Is he going to just be seen as nothing but fluff and nothing but hype? I don't know. I don't know. I'd be curious to see how that plays out. But if you want to know how I feel, do I want him to win? Yeah, I want them to win. I wanted them to win. I thought they were going to win. I did not know. I think today I was shocked because I didn't know how bad I knew they were bad, but I just thought that maybe over the week they would just figure things out and get a little better. They look terrible today. Y'all got to go watch the highlights of that game. That game was atrocious. Like they made that team look like they were Georgia. They looked like Ohio State out in that mug. And I was like, whoa, I've rarely seen a team get spanked like that. And it's got to be humbling in light of the fact that you did so much talking in the beginning of the year and you got so much hype and so much attention before. Yeah, I don't know. I think the party's over. The party's over. All right. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. That's all I got to say. Thank you so much for listening. And I know some of y'all didn't like a word that I said. It's okay. Y'all can keep hanging on his nuts. I don't do that. I don't jock anybody. I don't do that stuff. I can critique my heroes too. My 2 greatest heroes are Malcolm X and Muhammad Ali. And if I sat down and told you all the issues I have with Malcolm X, you would think I didn't like the guy, but I love him more than almost any other hero I have. That's because you should have the ability to critique your heroes. If you cannot critique your heroes, then that means you're not developed as a critical thinker. So it's okay. It's okay to say I love you, But what you did right there was messed up. It's like being a parent. You know, if you want to be a parent, let me give you a little tip on parenting. I'm not an expert at it, but you got to learn to be a hater. You got to learn to be like, I love you, and I love you enough to tell you that what you're doing is fucked up. You got to know how to do that as a parent. If you can't do that, don't try to be your kids' friends. Don't try to just fit in. Don't try to just have them like you. Because that's not, you're not going to raise them properly that way. You have to have the ability to establish enough trust and love and connection that you can give constructive criticism. So again, I love Coach Prime. Again, I have one jersey on my wall, and that is my Deion Sanders jersey. I'm very proud of that. I paid $400 for that, and it's signed, it's autographed by Coach Prime. And I'm a Cowboys fan. I've been a Cowboys fan for a long time. I know. Give me your condolences, because that's pretty painful to do. And so I like this guy. I really want to see him succeed, but at the same time, I didn't like all the hype. The team right now really, really sucks. And also, I do wish he had stayed at an HBCU. I'm sorry. I know some people think he should just go for the money, but I believe we should go for the community. But then again, it's his life, it's his choice. And I know we don't believe in supporting like each other or whatever. We hate our community or something. I don't know what's wrong with us. Anyway, all right, guys, I'm out of here. Have a good night. Thank you so much for listening. Hit the thumbs up button before you go. Thumbs up, share, subscribe. My new book, it's a bestseller on Amazon. It's called The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. It is now available on Audible. So if you go to Audible and you look up my name, you will find several of my books on Audible. So feel free to go to Audible or Amazon or drboycebooks.com and hit that thumbs up button. And also, this podcast is on Spotify. It's on Apple. We got over 1 million downloads on Spotify last month. So thank you all for your support. You can find everything that I do there. And love you guys. God bless you. Have a good night. Thank you so much for listening. And thank you for allowing me to talk a little bit of shit on a Saturday. So I'll talk to you guys later. And Coach Prime, man, I wish you the best, brother. I know it's tough for you right now, but hang in there. I know you're a tough guy. I think you're going to find a way to win, and I'll be right there with you as you do. Talk to you later. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.